Pokemon, Digimon, Marvel Snap, there are many different TCGs out there bringing in thousands upon thousands of dollars. This isn't like every year, this is literally day after day. There are so many communities, events, and even YouTube channels dedicated to these types of games. But did you know there is a Christian game that was established back in 1995 that was a TCG? And after almost 3 decades, still has a thriving community and active and live supports along with releases. But is this a game Christians should be playing? And how biblical is it actually? And on a less serious but just as important note, is it even fun? We're gonna answer all that and more coming up right after this. So I remember my friend introducing me to this game back in college. He pulled out a shoebox full of a ton of different decks that he had put together that he had been given by his parents because he was a missionary kid. And he started telling me how this game Redemption was really to counteract the popularity and as a response to Pokemon, which from an entrepreneurial standpoint, can I just say I love. And this is just so something that would come out of the 90s. But what really surprised me was a few weeks ago on a Pastors After Dark episode, we looked a little bit more closely at this game and were amazed to find out that it still had things like a Discord now, that it had really been updated. It still had expansions coming on out. So there is still a community of people that enjoy this game a ton. But let's take a look at the website to give you all who are seeing this for the first time a much better and clearer picture of what Redemption really is, and what better place to start than the official site. All right, so here we are. We're on the Cactus Game Design Inc. site here where you can find stuff. We believe, I don't even know what that is. You can find Bible toys, other card games, but it's really just Redemption. And then board games like Apples to Apples and Taboo Bible Edition and Bible Outbursts. I'm not even sure what that is, but let's just go ahead and I'm just going to read directly from the website what this game is in case you're like, what is this? What are we talking about here? Here's what it is. Redemption is a collectible trading card of a biblical adventure. So again, if you've never collected Pokemon cards or Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic, basically what this is it's a game where you buy a starter deck to start playing, and then you could add on to your deck and customize it and build it up by buying packs or buying singles. Usually the communities are split between like some who actually like to play the game and enjoy the mechanics, while others really just like the idea of collecting full sets and being like a completionist. But let's go on and keep reading what it says. It says, players use heroes to rescue lost souls, overcoming any evil characters that oppose them. Cards come in 2 forms, starter decks and booster packs, kind of like what we're saying here. There are 2 starter decks in each starter deck set. Each deck is ready to play and is specially balanced to play well against the other deck. This allows 2 players to start playing immediately without having to learn how to build a deck. It is highly recommended that new players start with the starter deck. So let's take a look on what those starter decks look like here. So here's some of them. You got the 4th edition starter deck, I and J, I'm not sure what that is, and then the Redemption gift set here. So one of my buddies, Kenneth, actually already ordered 2 of the starter decks. So here's the challenge. If this video can get 25 likes, I'm going to do a box opening with him and we'll talk about it and actually play the game, because I haven't played this game in over 10 years at this point. I don't know any of this stuff, but just so you guys can see it a little bit more closely here, this is what the box looks like. So very like cartoon-esque. So kind of cool. You see the background there. You see kind of the artwork that it goes with. But they're all a little different. The Lineage of Christ super pack here. So ranging from $10 to $216. I think that's just the booster pack. So again, I haven't seen a lot of the new stuff. Everything I saw was over 10 years ago. But the way this game basically works and you play it, might explain it here if I go back. So since I haven't played this game myself personally in a long time, I actually found this review by somebody else who is also a pastor. And so if he's out there, thank you so much. If you guys want to go check out his post on boardgamegeeks.com, go check it out. I don't know. I think you could subscribe to people who play these types of things. But here's what he said. He said, having played many board games and strategy games throughout my life, Redemption is a fantastic game and is one of my favorite games alongside the classics of chess. It's important to note that many of the negative reviews on here are rather outdated. The most popular review is from 2008, which is over 11 years ago, so it seems like a good time to write a more recent review. Having stopped playing Redemption around 2010, which was around when I was in college, went in high school and came back to it this past year during 2019, it is so much more advanced and enjoyable than it was before. In fact, many of the weaknesses brought up in the past reviews have been addressed by the game developers. The new expansions have added quite a bit more to the gameplay. In this review, I would like to address a few matters: the gameplays and mechanics, the biblical accuracy, and game development. Okay, biblical accuracy. So this is something that you might be worried about or concerned about here. It says this: I would like to preface the portion by noting that this review is from a pastor. They have dedicated their life to studying and teaching the Bible. This review has sought to be as discerning as possible in evaluating the biblical accuracy of this game. One major concern raised in the past reviews on Redemption is the issue of biblical accuracy. One reviewer felt that there is potential to mishandle biblical truth in Redemption. One specific concern pointed out was the idea of human heroes rescuing lost souls, since this is the work of God and not man. That's how you win the game. You try to win the certain number of souls, kind of like how you do in Pokemon with prize cards. You try to win the souls by winning the battles and overcoming evil. And whoever wins the most souls to God wins the game. So I could see how that could be a bit of an issue. You're kind of worried that like, oh, this is God who saves soul, not man. In response to this point, though, the concern is understandable, but it is important to remember how God saves people. The Lord uses people as tools to lead others to salvation. In 1 Corinthians 3:5-9, Paul writes, "What then is Apollos? What is Paul? Servants through whom you believe, as the Lord assigned to each. I planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the growth. So neither he who planted nor he who watered is anything, but only God who gives the growth. He who plants and he who waters are one, and each will receive his wages according to his labor. For we are God's fellow workers. You are God's field, God's building." God is the one who saves lost souls, but he uses people as a means to plant and water the seeds of the gospel, which he ultimately grows. Redemption gameplay then fits into this biblical passage by ultimately having the Son of God as the most powerful character in the game. Having the human characters being used to redeem lost soul is consistent with biblical concepts of evangelism. So super cool. I think that's awesome. I didn't have an issue with it. I thought it was kind of goofy and funny, just some of the artwork or how they were trying to copy clearly like some Pokemon stuff or magic stuff, or they were inspired by those things, let's just say. So he goes on to say this though: now that it has been clarified that the gameplay of Redemption does honor the Bible, it is important to note that great advancements have been made by the developers in making the game in depth when it comes to the Bible and more accuracy. The old sets that exist in 2008, when the reviews that called into question the biblical accuracy of Redemption was written, were helpful for learning the Bible and drew on many different biblical characters. However, these old sets lack theological depth compared to the new sets. Again, a great thing if that's the case. The newer sets, the early church, the persecuted cloud, the cloud of witnesses, the persecuted church, the cloud of witnesses, Revelation of John, the fall of man, and prophecies of Christ all have a distinct biblical and theological theme. Revelation of John, for instance, explores the teaching of the whole book of Revelation. The fall of man traces the impact of the fall of man and consequences of sin through Genesis and the Old Testament. The early church contains many of the key biblical figures that are a part of the early church of Acts. These sets are all rich with biblical and theological details. You will learn quite a bit about what the Bible teaches in each of these areas. The old sets, warriors, women, prophets, kings, and priests, were good and led to biblical teaching, but the new sets are far deeper and more profound in what they teach. So when it comes to Redemption, it seems like it's a good game that Christians could enjoy and play, and it makes me more comfortable knowing that there are devs and people working on the game constantly to try to have some biblical value to it or theological depth, which is awesome. My biggest question would be like, what denominational background or theological background is this game really kind of go after? Because while there are things that are dogmatic in our faith, things that we hold with a closed fist that we all agree on, you know, there are going to be some things that are outside of that, say baptism or other things that would be interesting to see them do a variation of, or just to see how they tackle those types of things. So when it comes to, is it biblically accurate? It seems like it is, which is awesome. And should Christians play it, it seems like if you're interested in card games, if you like playing them and enjoy the mechanics and strategy and want a community of other people who enjoy those types of things, it could seem like a great way to try to memorize some Bible verses and maybe even learn about some characters you didn't before. But is it fun? Well, like I said, I remember about 10 years ago having a good time with my buddy, but that was more because of the company that I was with than necessarily the game. So I feel like I can't make that complete judgment call just yet because the reality is I haven't played it. So you guys know what to do. The only way we can know this for sure, make sure to hit that like button, drop a comment down below on what deck you think I should get or try when we do this unboxing, and let me know which cards you guys think down in the comment section below that you want me to go grab and check out, and I'll order them if we hit 25 likes. So go ahead and do that and you'll see some unboxing, and we'll test it out to see how fun this game actually is if you guys hit those goals. I always like supporting Christian companies and people who are trying new and creative ways to reach people with the gospel, and even though this came out back in 1995, it is still ongoing, so I would love to support them and encourage them in this way. So if you guys want, I'll leave a link to them down below if you want to do the same. But until next time, know you guys are valued and loved, and I'll see you soon. And if you're wondering if Christians should even play TCG games, I made a video on that, so you can go ahead and click that one right over here. Or if you came from that one, go ahead and look at this one right down here that YouTube thinks you're going to like.